Obelisk the Tormentor, the giant god soldier, god of destruction and god of the earth. One of the most beloved cards of Yu-Gi-Oh! Due to being Kaiba's second ace monster and a huge icon for strength. Be it how much Obelisk was utilized by the likes of Atem in ancient times, Kaiba in present times, and also being the name for the highest class of duelists at Duel Academy called Obelisk Blue. But the most shocking entrance it probably had was when Kaiba summoned him against Diva in the Dark Side of Dimensions movie. It played at a time where Egyptian god cards didn't even exist, but Kaiba was still able to summon the literal god from the past to support him in that duel. Before we get to the powers of Obelisk, let us get to the namesake first. Unlike Osiris or Ra, who were named after ancient Egyptian gods, Obelisk is named by an important monument of ancient Egypt. Obelisks were four-sided pillars with pyramid-shaped tips that were typically covered in gold to reflect the sunlight. These pillars symbolize the sun god Ra, or are more like a representation of Ra's rays of light showing off eternity and immortality. A connection that makes a lot of sense if you compare it to Yu-Gi-Oh's Ra, who stands above the other two gods. Obelisks were also believed to connect the heaven to the earth, which would also kinda give Obelisk a connection to Osiris, who is known as the god of the sky in Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, to determine the powers of Obelisk is a bit more difficult than for Osiris, since we never got any outstanding statements or anything like that. Obelisk always pulled up to make a big punch to destroy anything in its way, hence the name God of Destruction. If we go by his dual monsters effects, you shall sacrifice 2 bodies to God of Obelisk to destroy all monsters on the field and to damage your opponent. By the rules of dual monsters, it was interpreted as you dealing 4000 points of damage to your opponent to defeat them instantly, and to raise Obelisk's attack to infinity whenever you tribute 2 monsters. We sadly never saw in the Millennium World arc how 2 cars or other beings would have been sacrificed for Obelisk, so we don't know if he would actually instant kill anyone in front of him afterwards. But he was already able to drain Thief King Bakura of most of his bar whenever he hit his Diabond, and that without having the boost of any sacrifices. The most insane shot we saw of him was when Zorg Necrophades talked about the past events, where we saw him with an army of cars against just one Obelisk who seemed colossal in comparison. So maybe that was the point where sacrifices has been made to stop Zorg from his plans. But we just don't know. There's one big interesting detail about Obelisk the Tormentor you probably didn't know about, and it has something to do with his design. If you compare the dual monsters Obelisk to the actual physical spirit of Obelisk in the Millennium Arc or the Dark Side of Dimensions, you will see that their designs differ in some way. The actual physical spirit of Obelisk got some markings on his chest and head. That's where the Yu-Gi-Oh! R manga comes to play. Even though it's questionable how canon that manga is to the story, there's one interesting thing going on there. That manga plays after Battle City and before the Millennium World arc, meaning that Atem has all 3 Egyptian god cards. He summoned Obelisk in a duel against someone using evil gods that were on the same hierarchy level as Ra, meaning that Obelisk couldn't harm them. But Atem activated a spell card called Divine Evolution, which would raise Obelisk into a higher hierarchy rank. And whenever that happened, Obelisk the Tormentor turned into Obelisk the Progenitor, with those dark markings on him. Which could mean that Obelisk with those markings could just be on the same hierarchy level as the dual monsters version of Ra, which is kinda insane to think about. Anyways, that's it for its powers. Obelisk being an ancient god soldier of earth and destruction, getting sealed into a stone slab and being multiple thousands of years later on revived as a dual monsters card by Pegasus. Pegasus thought about destroying the god cards, but he didn't dare to do so and let them be sealed in Egypt. After learning from Merrick's plans to get all the Egyptian god cards, Ishiza was able to protect the Obelisk card right on time and used it later on to start Battle City through Kaiba, giving him that card. Kaiba later on lost that card to Yugi in an epic battle, and at the end the god cards went together with Atem away from the present world. That was until Kaiba connected to the ancient memories to summon the god of Obelisk himself against Diva to fight him off. And that is the short story about everything we know about Obelisk the Tormentor. I hope I was able to teach you something new about Obelisk, or to just show you how strong he actually is. Tell me in the comments below if it was the case. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting Yu-Gi-Oh content in future. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video. Bye!